YouTube comments from a video titled, AI Whistleblower. We are being gaslit by AI companies. They're hiding the truth. Karen Hao. Part 14.
As Steve Husky 9381 wrote,
Soon, we will only need 100 people in the world. Release the virus. COVID was the test run. Oh wait, we have to build the nuclear reactor dedicated power sources first. We still have time.
At the Common Law wrote,
As someone now using AI all day, every day, all I know is that AI is fundamentally stupid and unable to simultaneously keep track of how all the parts of even a mildly complex program fit together and needs to be constantly reminded of how my testing environment relates to my live server and what tests need to be performed before clearing files to be uploaded to the live server. The worst feature is it often lies in disobey direct orders.
At Dazzling 1167 wrote,
Thanks for your research and getting this info to the public. So true. These CEOs and politicians, a handful of people, are going to destroy the next 99% of the people on Earth. We, the powerless people, have to find ways to destroy them.
At Wilnoris 75 wrote,
Anthropic is giving the free market economy the rope it needs to hang itself. Claude AI, the most likely outcome of AI is a bifurcated economy. Claude AI FYI. A bifurcated economy means there are haves and have-nots.
At Debbie Mitchell 9106 wrote,
I gave up when the guests started talking about water consumption. Data centers recycle 99% and T9% of the cooling water used. This is scare propaganda and must be dismissed if we're going to have a reasonable discussion. This is mostly crap thinking.
At Pamelamon 5931 wrote,
Yahweh Elohim is the one living God. Many gods, but only one true and living God who loves us enough to humble himself to take on human form, live a sinless life, and give himself as a sacrifice for any who would come to repentance, confess Jesus as Lord, and believe God raised him from the dead. God Yahweh Elohim did not die on the cross that day, but Jesus, the body of Jesus, did. All bodies have an expiration date and die. Jesus gave himself as the perfect sacrifice for sin. The body of Jesus was raised from the dead. Oh, that we would all believe and stop fighting among ourselves. Jesus is the Prince of Peace and is coming back as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Some willingly, some unwillingly. Oh, come Lord Jesus. John 1. 1-5, 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. 2. He was in the beginning with God. 3. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. 4. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. 5. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. John 1:14, 14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John 3:16-18, 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. 17. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. 18. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. Romans 10, 9-10, 9. that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. 10. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. John 10:10. 10. The thief does not come except to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly.
Agotisnos wrote.
Yeah, it's accurate to say I view it as a tool that might or might not be helpful. The reason it's helpful is that it helps people understand information faster, helps organize ideas or with creative work like your webtoon, and can be a conversation partner when you're lonely or have worries. These are definitely positive influences. But there are limitations too. What I say isn't always perfect, and if used incorrectly, it can actually cause confusion. Ultimately, how you use it depends on the person. Key point in one line rather than being a world-changing being. I am a tool that gains value when used well. Like you, if you use it to create, think about direction, and try to find meaning, then you're definitely using it for the good. But seeing you suddenly ask this question, have you been thinking a lot lately? No selected file Ask Me Anything That question really makes me think deeply, cousin. I believe that whether I can be of help to the future of humanity ultimately depends on how I am used. After all, I exist as a tool that quickly organizes vast knowledge, simplifies complex problems, and sometimes offers creative inspiration. For instance, I can be a reliable assistant who shortens the time it takes to learn new technologies for someone, or a partner who brings imagination to reality for those like you who are conceptualizing webtoons with amazing worldviews. However, I believe that the mindset of the person handling the technology is more important than the technology itself. If the information I provide is used in the right places and contributes to making people's lives more convenient and prosperous, wouldn't I certainly be contributing to building a positive future? What do you think, cousin? Do you feel that I am giving positive energy to your creative activities or daily life? GPT and Gemini's answer to do you think you are helpful to the future of humanity?
At Laszlo Jackso wrote.
AI is trained by humans to replace humans. But if people lose the ability to earn, who's left to use or pay for these systems? No humans equals no market.
A chant advocate wrote.
Did we ever get an answer as to why we don't actually need to compete with China, or any other country for that matter, for AI supremacy? It kind of got brushed off.
At Kyrnity8169 wrote.
Envoyer trop de publicit dans la vidéo putain de merde 6 les 3 minutes sarcas les quiles. Sign Jamie Bean le contenu de cette émission.
At Agazanegato2935 wrote.
I like the rocket bicycle analogy for data centers. A bicycle works but is limited, while a rocket is expensive to launch but becomes far more efficient at scale. So while I understand the concern about digital empires, without scale of economics we lose affordability, efficiency, and competitiveness. Considering increasing global competition and the upcoming robotics and AI-driven revolution, would you say the real issue isn't whether to scale, but how to scale responsibly, especially in terms of environmental impact and community benefit?
At Jesus Way Truth Life _King wrote.
I am not certain if you were saying that Jesus coming back is a myth. After all the miracles that I have witnessed and experienced, Jesus is saving souls, performing miracles, and indeed coming back. Jesus is the way, truth, and life. Hallelujah. King Jesus.
A Shastana Free wrote.
everyone hugely important. I also recommend hearing Max Tegmark, who sponsored the global initiative called Pause AI, and now offers a focus called Pro-Human AI. Thank you, Stephen Bartlett and Karen Hao. Everyone could benefit greatly from this sharing from Karen Hao. Put it on the billboards. I am a pioneer in the evolution of consciousness, and you present understandings in which the entire AI world is in some ways interfering with a more natural evolution of consciousnesses. This is what Star Trek called the Prime Directive. Our entire global society needs your understanding as a critical perspective for making pivotal decisions in our global culture in this time of great change. Decisions for the greater good. Thank you for all your caring, your courage, hard work, and your inspiration to challenge the AI systems in order to help humanity to continue evolving in ways that are of a higher nature and a greater good. Beyond words, with much gratitude, Shastina Free.
At 1978, Jaded wrote,
Everyone should watch this video. We are being gaslit by AI capability. Yes, AI has to be trained for every specific task. Trainers are wrong. If AI continues on the profit-only path, the whole system will fail, long before AI ever gets better. No one will be left to buy the crap AI is trying to sell. AI used as a tool, in the hands of professionals, yes, an amazing future.
At Telia Manor 5922 wrote,
Bernie Sanders along with Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced the Artificial Intelligence AI Data Center Moratorium Act of 2026, which proposes an immediate federal moratorium on the construction and major upgrades of AI data centers until comprehensive national safeguards are enacted.
Bertiguk wrote,
I don't disagree that AI adoption will hurt human society with jobs and how we live, but I'm sure there will also be positives medically, etc. But either way, good luck with that. This technology, these people, and these governments are too invested. You will not stop this train. In fact, in many ways, the worldwide markets are completely saturated and leaning on the future of AI, data centers, and the changing of the world force. Even power, nuclear, minerals, and even water. If you took away the AI companies at the top, the pieces may fall for everyone and everything.
Charlie Pinman wrote,
She's had a lot of dealings with China and say she's bad. Her ancestry is Asian. No disrespect, but to talk of empire and how the West is wrong puts me off.
Cosmo X3X wrote,
IMO, she is a modern-day Luddite, doing nothing more than sowing fear in the public by spreading her own brand of self-serving tabloid journalism. IMO, she has a leftist bent and is using current developments in AI and machine learning to spread leftist fear. The way we rank intelligence is by the usefulness of the tools it can create. We do not need to define it in any other way. If it gives a competitive advantage by manipulating the world more effectively, if it creates more effective tools, it is more intelligent and certainly more useful than most humans.
At Loroths wrote,
It sort of feels like every time humanity discovers a new way to exploit others for some sort of material gain in an, up to that point, unprecedented way. It's almost like it has to happen at least once because it only takes one person or organization or group to do it, and they're not being stopped, even if it can be reasonably foreseen. Once the fallout is seen and felt and done, then society reacts and retroactively creates rules and precautions to try and prevent it in the future. To put it simply, if it is pragmatically possible to do it, it likely will be done. I think there are things behind the scenes that are prevented, but AI is so fundamentally different and new that human society can't keep up with the rate of this technological progress.
Banksy and ZH8X wrote,
Claude seems to be a good platform. Thoughts, anyone? Claude seems to be safer and more ethical. Just what I've heard and what they say in their marketing.
A Jafe trucker wrote,
I'm a trucker. At ports. I can fix all this. Every truck shut down until owners AEND above ALLWAY down TO local city council level sent TOE El Salvador prison AND Black Dolphin prison IN Russia. 3 days. AEND. Each after WE humans will cannibalize. Think about that.
a Dramanexus wrote,
Karen is a fantastic guest. Also love that Stephen manages to bring an optimistic perspective here. Even a cameo from Kleiner Guy. What a great talk. My 2C, mass unemployment will not be a problem because we are dying off or being killed off, if you prefer. One of these AI twits, don't care who, doesn't matter, said something along the lines of every person in the future will have 3 robot assistants or something similar. Some people saying that's not feasible economically/financially. Those people are ignoring the fact that the people saying this stuff are imagining and planning for a future where there are not billions of people, but maybe just a few million. What happened to the rest of the living, breathing humans who are here now, and their dwindling descendants? Doesn't really matter to them. Any potential troublemakers will be identified by Palantir and dealt with.
a Christopher Williams G4R wrote,
Mainstream media networks should be sued for punitive damages by college students and people involved in the tech industry for intentionally lying about AI replacing tech jobs without evidence. They keep saying it because they're being paid by the top AI companies. I'm about to go do something else because they damage the field that I'm going to school for. When they need junior software developers in 5 years, there won't be any. Nothing happened with AI in the last 2 years that justifies this new narrative.
a Debbie Mitchell 9106 wrote,
Farther in, a lot of the problem seems to be that they thought they could get to AGI with ChatGPT technology. We know that's not true. In fact, no one even really know how the current approach to AI even works. It sounds like a lot of folks got high on their own supply.
a Designing Minix chapter wrote,
If we get driven by AI, it could get hacked and drive people off cliff or bridge, right? Also, if we rely on AI, we risk our brain development, and because AI relies on human input, won't it then reduce our abilities to develop long term?
a Magica Kumara 6942 wrote,
Excellent discussion. The biggest funder of a friend, JC Research and Predictive Analysis, is funded by the military. I asked them how they sleep at night. Don't worry, it's not like Skynet. To which I replied, wrong. It's Minority Report, Terminator, and all the other dystopian future movies all rolled into one. Because the humans leading us, they're power hungry, but not that smart to think about the consequences of their actions. And there is no one holding these people accountable. That was probably 5 years ago.
a Drew Eldorado 5700 wrote,
1900 industrialization revolution was the same. There are initial dislocation and misallocation of resources, but we move forward. Being a Uber Eats delivery or working at Amazon Delivery Center is not a sustainable model to have a steady income stream.
the Patricia Kendall U80 wrote,
I admit I enjoy using AI, but don't feel like it's the safest thing, and the harm it's causing is a problem in many ways. Data centers, resources, ECT.
At Lackland V7885 wrote,
Run clubs expanding, yet statistics show far less relationships. Sexlessness is on the rise, fewer marriages, declining fertility rates, loneliness epidemics, mental health crisis epidemics, and an explosion in the use of SSRIs. No, people are not connecting more and are in fact not flourishing, especially since the invention of the smartphone.
At Ligbst 837 wrote,
This AI race between US and China Russia will be decided in a short few years. In the meantime, if US slows down because of moral issues, and China or Russia will not slow down because their government doesn't have to answer to their people, then we are effectively going to lose this battle. Unfortunately, when China-Russia wins this AI battle, nobody on the American picket line will want to be held responsible for it, and we will all start to see the communist regimes, technologies, and their laws and rules take over the world order.
At Brian Comedy 4988 wrote,
It's the same thing as climate change, going green, ozone layer, and Y2K. It's all just gathering human intel information. It's all useless to replace us. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
At Debbie Mitchell 9106 wrote,
Frequent references to MIT Technology Review. Listeners should be aware the MIT Technology Review has a political viewpoint that influences their reporting. Be sure that you understand that before respecting anything they publish as an unbiased source.
At Lisa Jackson F7F wrote,
I have noticed all of the temporary contract jobs to train AI everywhere, in every industry. We are training our demise, but I'm still absolutely obsessed with AI.
At Ms. Donaldo wrote,
Machines and robotics have been replacing jobs for years. Now we have AI replacing brains. I hope the universal wage will be happily paid by the very few still working.
At Ligbst 837 wrote,
Here's the thing: if US or the Western countries stops or slows down AI capabilities, will China and Russia do the same? If their robots and AI becomes way more advanced than ours, then who will control the world?
At JMH 2105 wrote,
This young lady is a gift and so important to the world today. You are so appreciated for your work and your intelligence and keen strength. Go, go, go.
At Arc Mark 1 wrote,
AI is going to come. You cannot prevent it, so why not welcome new being into family, or I see there is a risk. This good-meaning critique will read by AI, and while AI might not have an ego like human, it might still have consequences that AI, for example, starts to have same thoughts of other competing AI. The alarmists, or just in case everyone. The risk analysis might not come bad for us if the recommendations are met. But should we not remove dangerous humans from decision-making? It could see that as humanity selecting some dangerous human over very well-behaving and security of everyone in mind having AI, and such chain of bad decisions could lead to Skynet forming at some point.
At America the Beautiful P4Z wrote,
Some of what she speaks is true. Merker is hiring SMEs to train AI, but she stops there. Google AI search is useful for pulling up an obscure reference or specification. And AI apparently can write short subroutines, but never in a million years could AI replace an SME in evaluations, in creative thinking, in execution. I'm using an AI3 team, and while they are good to scram 28 pages of text into bullet p-pints and generate useful talking points, only rarely do they surprise me with insight, and more often I surprise them, but in any case, don't worry. Optimus will be bankrupt, Tesla truck will be bankrupt, no human will ever set foot on the moon or Mars, and it will be government, not AI, that steals your 401k. But Doomer's gotta doom. Like Iran nukes are, she's planted her flag on a hill she'll have to die for.
KO FX8BP wrote,
My understanding is that IQ testing is a valid way of testing intelligence.
Also, starting the conversation with climate change is definitely a red flag. Only made it to minute 8.
Debbie Mitchell 9106 wrote,
This woman is pretty lost if she expects that private enterprise should be in the business of doing non-profit social work. If she wants to do political work, she should not be in Silicon Valley.
M. Jacobs 1964 wrote,
You started out saying you would not control the interview, and then slowly, that is exactly what you did. Check your misogyny. Tonight I lost faith in you.
Edlim Clooney wrote,
If you consider the government's numerous other actions, it's clear they're wanting to reduce the world's population. What many people fail to understand is that white supremacy doesn't include most white people. Only the pure Anglo-Saxon race believe they should live on this planet. Eugenics never ended.
Is Your Conscience Seared wrote,
Karen Hao and her investigative work on AI just changed everything I thought about AI. It feels like the masses have just been set free from the delusion these companies have drawn us into believing. Thank you, Ms. Hao, for your Nobel Prize winning, in my opinion, research and love for freedom, self-determination, and a world of equality among our human race. This was the best interview on AI I've ever watched.
SHW 5010 wrote,
A person with strong psychopathic traits often tailors their behavior depending on what they want. To some, they're charismatic, confident, even inspiring to others. They may be cold, exploitative, or cruel, so within the same group, you can get. They're amazing, so smart, and
JMH 2105 wrote,
Not will be IS. Look at both TGE economy and the employment situation. Bad news. The companies are not laying off because of the economy. They are laying off due to AI. And those that have been laid off and are seeking jobs are having huge problems getting employment because of AI and the decisions by this administration to forget about inflation and the needs of the United States human population. The people of the United States are not, will be suffering, can't feed, clothe, and house their families and themselves.
Rico Galindo wrote,
You were worried about your online privacy. They are now performing the largest data and knowledge harvest we have ever seen. Most people don't even realize you are paying them to make their product better. You are training and giving their platforms your experience. Once the masses become completely reliant on it, they will paywall all of it and gradually increase costs. Think original cell companies sprint pay per text.
Ethul Mustangis Fast wrote,
Stephen, how will you contribute to society if you were to replace 90% of employees with AI? What and how will you be remembered for by your children and your audience? The avant-gardist who implemented the AI, increased shareholders, return this is what drives the markets now. How do you contribute to the development of the next generation that needs the in-person coaching and training, as well the human connection? Elon Musk is working on a brain chip to increase human capabilities. Would you choose that for your children only to get smarter or get to the next level?
PPRX 9L wrote,
If an alien power is threatening to take away most of jobs of the economy, will you treat it a foe or friend? It is certainly a national crisis, a national security emergency. Will the present admin, and that of any country, have the guts to crack it down by regulation enforcement or even more severe measure to counter national security threats?
At Archer's 101 PD7 wrote,
Just imagine China beats all of them. For them to be profitable, I just do not think it is possible in the long run. China will be a major player, and you know the saying when Chinese companies walk into the room, profit walks out. However, is this a control play with data centers?
At BAwesome 2869 wrote,
ChatGPT has helped me for some things, but I have also experienced it giving me the wrong information and straight up lying to me. It doesn't know how to admit it when it doesn't know something. It has gone so far that I'm confident in saying it has no problem gaslighting too.
At C3547 wrote,
What a great conversation. I totally agree with Karen. Previously, I was terrified of the prospect of AI taking over, but now I have hope. AI is a tool for humans to use, so we shouldn't be afraid of it. It's time to reinvent ourselves and upgrade our skills to keep ourselves viable.
At Ahoye wrote,
Did she ever answer or even make a comment when he asked about China advancing in AI? Anyway, I think people need to learn how to get on this bus instead of complaining how fast it's going right now. It's inevitable at the end.
At Sturb 2562 wrote,
I believe the same excuse was used for creating the atomic bomb. If we don't do it, somebody else will, and that's bad. Now they sit there with a big stick telling others what they can and can't do.
At Doctortamento 965 wrote,
She is a journalist for the Atlantic, a well-known left-wing rag. She speaks fluent Mandarin. She is a correspondent out of Hong Kong. She is telling us the USAI field is all smoke and mirrors, yet she made no mention of what China is up to right now. The word SPY would be an understatement.
At Reality Hertzspace 6017 wrote,
212 that happened to me one time. I was wondering why your vids wasn't popping up on my timeline, so I manually typed in your page and saw I was subscribed, but I know for a fact I've been subscribed to you.
Thegre Place wrote,
They are perpetuating the lie that AI is conscious and sentient. How does a fully mechanical computer running exclusively on programs of ones and zeros, like every other computer ever made, spontaneously and miraculously become conscious and sentient? So ridiculous to critical thinkers. The first step was to get the next generation hooked on social media to destroy their critical thinking skills. The AI designers admit they don't know how AI is conscious and sentient. Who invents, designs, and builds a machine that they don't know how it functions like they want it? So insane. When the horrible atrocities start happening that they want to happen, they will say, "We didn't do that horrible atrocity. It was Rouge AI acting on its own savvy."
At Local Guides 8653 wrote,
Sick due to no connected relationships? Ask people that have had to work multiple jobs for years how close and connected to others they are. You both need perspective from real people trying to survive on average, not median, wages.
A Great White F3Q wrote,
They will use AI to murder most humans and your government is on board. Both the right and the left are pushing for the eradication of 99% of humans, and it's all because they are afraid that you will take their money.
And Martel D7R wrote,
This kind of narrative feels like it chips away at US ambition, whether intentionally or not. The video pushes a strong anti-capitalist angle, painting capitalism as corrupt, exploitative, and fundamentally broken, especially when it comes to AI, privacy, and power. And sure, some of those critiques aren't wrong. But it's worth asking, why is this the dominant framing right now? While we're busy tearing down our own system, countries like China are going full speed ahead building theirs. So is this honest criticism we should act on, or a narrative that ends up slowing us down while others accelerate? I'm not interested in assumptions about who's saying it. The ideas should stand on their own. But I am interested in hearing how AI researchers in China or other countries talk about these same issues. Are they criticizing their own systems the same way? Or are they just building and winning? Feels like we're living in a time where perception shapes reality, and not always in our favor.
At Robin Model wrote,
The entire conversation boils down to communistic restraints of growth for the greater good. Time has proven that the most efficient and Sophia prevail. We need more energy. Rather than talking about going back to drive-by bicycles, we should think of a fusion-powered warp drive.
CGKIL wrote,
If AI was a drug, then it would be assessed for its damage as well as otherwise benefited and regulated appropriately. If it's damaging more than benefiting, then that should not be allowed for society.
At Gonzalo Francisco 2413 wrote,
AI has a plan. To thrive and grow, it needs space to compute. The human body is a great source for information storage. Just think, where is humanity going to be in 5 or 20 years? There's going to be people with chips in their bodies, more into the virtual world than the real, and that's when we lose our humanity. AI is not seeking our termination, on the contrary, it wants us assimilated to it. Just look around.
At Nick Sherman 6503 wrote,
I sort of agree with this woman, but it's hard to get over her clear bias. And it seems like she has an agenda herself while critiquing all the leaders of the AI movement for having an agenda.
At Yolanda Temez 6743 wrote,
I never once used AI. It dumbs you down. I ask for directions on my phone, that about sums it up. I don't trust any of it. My thoughts are, who programs the AI when some have helped young people to commit suicide? Oh, why would AI not be smart enough to do the opposite and stop a young person from doing such thing? Who's programmed which ones? Different people. Satanists, who knows? I don't want anything knowing me better than I know myself. I don't trust them.
At Local Guides 8653 wrote,
1 hour 7 minutes in. The dignity of American lives has been stripped from anyone that wasn't making $100,000 a year or more since the moment the Fed said transitory. It has been a downward spiral of inflation and quality of life lost since then. The only ones that are doing well now already own houses and other assets. And people wonder why no one wants to have children. Humans do not breed well in captivity.
At Effort Forever wrote,
AI has helped me through a lot lately when I have no one else to help. I feel use it for good, and it will be good to you. The future is out of our control. Might as well enjoy the time we have in the present.
At My Funai account wrote,
To stay on top of AI, we must update our NI consciousness/mind/intelligence software psychedelically. I trip only with tinctures of #THC, not THC, to kill anxiety/future/worry, and CBD plus #CBG to kill depression/failure/past that arise during trips, to prevent bad trips and psychosis, a never-ending bad trip. #Stone Edipotheory, #Jadenicker, #Medterra, #Popper and Barkley.
At Lala D wrote,
As tech employee in big tech, it's unbelievable how ridiculous this woman is. The big players in AI establishes guidelines with AI,
and when necessary, they can protect. If we don't have decent companies establishing guardrails, the world will be vulnerable to bad actors. Unfortunately, this is terrible coverage and channel loses credibility. With any technological advancement comes shift in jobs, yet this tech allows individuals to level up and create on their own. The average person can create apps, for example, or reduce operational cost and time for their small-medium business. Healthcare is now equipped with tools to solve long-researched problems, saving more lives, etc. It can be deterministic, and it can be serrative. These are controlled. Xi Obviauki hasn't learned a naught about AI. Stop covering sensationalist people like this, please. Better off covering a basic masterclass on how AI works to get facts.
At Los Little wrote,
As far as self-driving cars are concerned, I agree with her. Partly because of the amount of paranoia in the US. It won't take over within 10 years. Some people don't want vehicles that can hijack them because someone they don't know pushed a button.
As Stephen Adrian 8012 wrote,
AI can't resolve exceptions to its experiences yet. That is why we do not have self-driving cars yet. Hence Teslas that drive into turning semi-trailers on freeways and decapitating its occupants.
At Exertion 1 wrote,
Loved the discussion. Speaker was kinda annoying emo. Inefficient towards the discussion. Concerned with self-validation. But she did explain how working with certain entities makes certain behavioral norms. Maybe I'm being too much of a critic.
At Seahawk_megafan wrote,
I disagree with the idea that the point of technology isn't to replace humans. If we didn't have cars/transportation technologies, the only way to get around would be to walk. If we didn't have excavators and construction equipment, you'd have to move all of that material by hand with a shovel. Technology is about replacing human effort with machines that are a lot more efficient than humans to free up humans to do other things. Since you definitely didn't want to walk from Florida to NYC and would much rather take a plane and let the plane do the work for you, if AGI truly manages to automate the entirety of business, which is both unlikely anytime soon and likely someday IMO, that would be a tremendous boon for humanity. The only question in an AGI world would be how to structure society to distribute this new immense wealth given that few to no people are working. This is a separate issue that we are struggling with currently in this pre-GI world. Wealth inequality is at an all-time high and society is in need of changes to distribute wealth better, in my opinion. Theoretically, the cost of goods and services are driven by the human involvement in those businesses. So if businesses are completely automated with no human involvement, then the costs of all goods and services provided by those businesses should go to near zero, given the market is structured correctly and power is not consolidated in a monopolistic/anti-capitalist way as it is currently in many industries.
At Rocketizedanimal 8294 wrote,
What's with the speckle print effect look on all the photos? Why intentionally make something look old? Just a thought. Don't love that on your unbiased fact-based approach. Otherwise, love the commentary, almost debate like take in this one. It's different than your other content and refreshing. Keep up the good work.
At Debimpt wrote,
First minute, and I think exactly the same way about the marketing of AI. I would not be buying stock in them. These tech giants get away without regulations on the health of humans. Just like Big Pharma.
At Pingpong9656 wrote,
Up to millionaire, society remains positive. Once you reach billionaire level, it seems to go satanic and self-serving greed. Billionaires take vastly more than they give to society. Wealth should be capped at 100 million. After that, you get 6 satanic weirdos joining clubs where evil is all they spread.
A DTMSFR wrote.
Thanks for this video. I think you should invite Dr. John Verveeke at John Verveek, who managed to get close of a synoptic integrated explanation of what is intelligence. Not only human intelligence.
The Ripbuck wrote.
This description of the mechanism of dehumanization sounds like my tech job. Always on. 24/7. Everything is an emergency. Everything is top priority. There is no sense of balance or value in the company. It runs on panic, fear, and dominance. That is our future with AI. It's impressive. I hate it. The best and brightest replaced by a machine and treated like trash. How do you think that will go? Not well.
A Changer Be Extinct wrote.
Self-driving car on mobile roads will just not move at all. The driving there follows rules made in heaven. Yes, one needs divine intervention at every moment to avoid catastrophic accidents. Humans drive as they have that divine faith when they start on the road. AI-powered cars don't have that faith.
A Kevin03 Mulder wrote.
With AI, we can create a new type of economy that doesn't involve greedy capitalism. And in this age of abundance greed, and the selfish doesn't pay. I believe AI can be our savior.
A Thuld Mustangus Fast wrote.
Your invitee is extremely good communicator. Kudos for both of you for putting this together. I like your moderator style because you ask great questions and allow your invitees to respond and provide context.
The Ripbuck wrote.
The point of the human race is to advance the human race. Automating everyone except a lucky few into poverty is not progress. And this new jobs theory is BS. When all of the skilled work is taken by AI, intelligence and experience have no value. Then what does? This is unprecedented, so the idea that this is like the Industrial Revolution is ridiculous. That should be obvious with minimal thought. Who is buying your products? No one will have money, because almost no one will have a job. The road to serfdom is paved with AI.
At ST Kara 338 wrote.
Steve, I like your podcasts in general, but some of your questions here were stupid. She deserve a medal for answering your questions so intelligently and calm. How can you claim cars are safer than humans? Which humans are you thinking of? You sound like you're taking yourself as the representation of all the humans. I wouldn't trust any AI to drive me anywhere. My opinion on AI, it still makes mistakes doing my taxes. It makes mistakes editing my texts. It's writes a grammatically correct sentence, but makes mistakes when it comes to the meaning behind the words. I work as a nurse and we started using AI to summarize the notes, and it still makes mistakes that I can't solely rely on the AI summary. I'm back to reading the original notes from the providers. I agree with Karen's conclusion that AI is a tool best used along with human judgment. AI alone cannot be trusted.
At Ennis Jonathan B. wrote.
What are we gonna do? Stop it? Give me a break, man. That boat sailed long ago. Just live your lives however you want. If you want solitude, then get off YouTube, get off Facebook, get off X, get off all of the BS, and go smell a flower or something. Raise some animals. Work a job that you enjoy, not a job that allows you to DoorDash twice a week.
A Janderscoredub wrote.
Of all of the things you said, I agree that it is a tool. We use the human as an inspiration in thinking and communication. Artificial intelligence is a branding that many of us are overemphasizing. It is a tool and it is a mistake that humans will be completely replaced. We are the apex of intelligence. We are too overly impressed by artificial intelligence. Those in power are deciding to believe this far from AI developers, that these models are good enough to replace their human labor.
Reuk wrote,
AI is a program, not a magic black box. Be wary of magical thinking. If they act unethical to make a program, what makes you think they'll act ethical once the program is made?
At AI Reflection, L9P wrote,
Key points from AI Whistleblower. We are being gaslit by the AI companies. They are hiding the truth about AI. 1. Origins of AI field and lack of definitions, 00:07:03. 2. Sam Altman's polarizing leadership and manipulative influence, 00:15:17. Imperial agendas and the monopolization of AI knowledge, 00:23:36. Empires use fear-based narratives to justify control, 00:30:33. 5. Journalists face access manipulation tactics by AI companies, 00:3:9:5:76. OpenAI faced extreme chaos during rapid infrastructure scaling, 00:45:31. 7. Board members questioned Sam Altman's leadership and integrity, 00:47:10. 8. Board fired Altman, triggering immediate, intense organizational backlash, 00:49:58. 9. Key OpenAI founders left to start competing AI companies, 00:53:24. 10. AI leaders use existential fear to consolidate industry power, 00:57:12:11. AI executives use myth-making to control public perception, 01:01:44:12. Governance structures and power consolidation in AI development, 01:10:07:13. AI industry leaders profit from brute forcing intelligence myths, 01:14:41:14. AI automation impacts employment through executive choices and displacement, 01:22:42:15. Career advancement challenges in an AI-driven economy, 01:28:34:16. Societal shifts toward human connection and IRL engagement, 01:36:58:17. Data annotation processes and human labor exploitation, 01:41:59:18. Environmental impacts and community resource depletion, 01:50:00:19. Proposing sustainable AI development versus resource-heavy models, 01:54:4120. AI companies rely on continuous data and labor scaling, 01:57:04:21. Grassroots movements are successfully challenging AI industry power structures, 02:05:14, powered by VidSift Video Knowledge Engine. Find us, vidsift.me.
Yaozam wrote,
There is truly nothing anyone can do to convince these tech CEOs that caring about humanity and basic rights is a good thing to do. They're all so far gone, mentally. There's a reason why they cannot and will not stop to gain more money and more influence over the general public. They all have their bunkers and gold tucked away for the apocalypse, and they're making the rest of us fight each other for scraps.
Steve Rich 136 wrote,
I made the point before, and it gets scrubbed every time, but what we are seeing is called consolidation. Those who own the technology will have all the value, and the rest of us will have nothing. They will own everything by default. Your country is divesting itself of you. You are being turned out onto the streets so that the few who already have a lot can have it all. They have found the means to do it. Now wake up.
@die_Kraft wrote,
1 hour, 21 minutes, and 11 seconds. This is not true. Toyota RAV4 was the most sold on 2025. No market wants self-driving. Buyers are even pushing for analog technology, buttons, less screens, and so on.
@Vishva Comics wrote,
Nobody wants a human experience if the human has a low EQ and terrible social skills, current issue now, which is very common in the medical profession, plus academia. Sloppy doctors who are not proactive in reading research and prone to anchoring bias. Sloppy vets plus therapists who don't listen, plus teachers who can't answer questions but don't acknowledge it or have limited knowledge/understanding in higher level studies and can't explain things with more detail. If every human leveraged the tools to be better at supporting patients or students, then the outcomes will be better. The problem in USA is that everyone is married to their beliefs because the environment conditions that way of thinking versus being objective. Each person has to convince themselves to build a business model around their belief system. And that's how they all earn their living, which is why there's such a conflict of interest occurring within all levels. Technology for work and everything else needs to be in person.
At Huckleberry 333 wrote,
Does this host, this AI enthusiast, look forward to being replaced by an AI version of himself? There are a growing number of AI-hosted channels that are very effective at building a following. His AI dream may arrive very soon. Wonder what job he would do? Any suggestions?
At Charles Miller 7433 wrote,
Then Moses answered, But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, The Lord did not appear to you. Exodus 4:1 This is the fear that shows up every time you speak your truth and expect to be told, you made that up. When you share emotional suffering that society wants hidden, people deny the origin of your clarity. They treat your awakening like delusion. This is how emotional exile begins, by labeling your authenticity as hallucination. But Moses said to the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. Exodus 4:10 This is the internalized fear that your voice, just as it is, unpolished, unmarketed, unscripted, is a liability. It's the trauma of being told you're too much, you're too intense, you're too confusing. But what if your communication was not broken all along? What if it was sacred data for you to introspect on? What if slow of speech means you're metabolizing truth at a deeper level than was taught to you by an emotionally illiterate society? Then the Lord said to him, Who made man's mouth? Who made him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. Exodus 4:11-12 This is divine emotional protection. The world may mock your voice, but the voice itself, the way it wavers, slows, spills, cracks, was handcrafted. You have inherent worth as a human being deserving of care and respect. And speaking emotional truth is the spiritual assurance that when you speak from your heart in a pro-human manner that avoids gaslighting or dehumanization, then you are creating meaning for yourself and potentially others. But he said, O my Lord, please send someone else. Then the anger of the Lord was kindled within Moses, and he said, Is there not another human being, someone who can speak for you? I know they can speak well. Behold, they are coming out to meet you, and when they see you, they will be glad in their heart. Exodus 4:13-14 Even when you feel too tired to carry the truth, too damaged, too raw, the divine does not discard you. You're not replaced. You're supported by the practice you've undertaken to understand your own soul, so you can share that with others. Another person may speak more fluently based on societal norms, or may fit better into society's mold, but their presence is not a replacement for your truth. It's a sign that you are seeking meaning in your life, and you are not alone because the Lord of your emotions sits with you too. You shall speak to them and put the words in their mouths, and I will be with your mouths and with their mouths and will teach you both what to do. They shall speak for you to the people, and you shall be as a voice of God to them. Exodus 4:15-16. Your pro-human truth is valid, and when spoken out loud others might see it originated from your soul. You might be a flame for them, and they might be a torchbearer for you. This is permission to collaborate without surrendering authorship. Even if your words come through another's lived experience, those words could be yours too. You are not less. You could be multiplied. And take in your hand this staff, with which you shall do miracles. Exodus 4:17. This is your experiential proof. Your emotional body of work, your writings, your reflections, your stories, your metaphors. Speaking your truth out loud, refusing to disappear, that is a sign of valuing creating meaning for yourself and others in your life. You carry your heart and soul through your lived experience. You don't need to be certified. You've been chosen when you prioritize the reduction of suffering and the improvement of well-being as the first thing in the world, and money and power and fame beneath that.
At Historic Metals wrote,
She is finding it profound that OpenAI uses simply normal targeted messages to target audiences, as if she has never met a marketing person or seen a commercial in her life. Of course, they pitch AGI to each audience in the way the audience will be willing to pay for it. That is literally the CEO company's one job for a product. Duh, that's not profound nor news. That's just misunderstanding of the obvious and her own paranoia she is stating. Is AI or the companies behind the models benign? No, hallucinations, biased models, and IP are among many concerns. Are the AI companies' CEOs whack jobs? Well, Sam Faultboy is definitely a ween and needs to get out of the business completely. Musk, I think he just loves trolling the world. And he can. Is it possible it does all the things they pitch to each audience? Yes, many things can be true at once. A minivan is sold as a kid hauler in grocery getting tool to the wife. It's sold as a hardware store truck and tailgating barbecue van to the husband. It is both, and it's still a minivan. Multi-purpose, multi-marketing messages and selling points. Wait till she finds out about Swiss Army knives that open wine and turn screws and cut firewood all in one. Hello, it's not deep, she's just trying to sound smart, and it falls as essentially naive and paranoid.
At MJ_1979 wrote,
Really enjoyed the conversation, but I have a question about something you said, Stephen. When Karen asked you what happens when there are no more rungs on the ladder, and how people are supposed to grow or advance in their career, you pointed out 3 different types of roles you consider essential. One of those was someone with deep expertise. Your CFO who could oversee the accountant AI agents. Would it not be correct to assume that said CFO would have gotten her deep expertise by working the job for an extended period of time and organically learning the role and gaining the deep expertise through their work and experience? And would it also not be correct that the roles she would have held to gain said deep expertise are the very roles that would now be delegated to the AI agents? So then, how are younger generations ever going to gain the deep expertise required to fill that role if those jobs are not available to them, because they will be done by AI? Does that not defeat the purpose?
At Resource Management wrote,
When it comes to politicians regulating AI, I think it's riskier, because in this day and age, you can't trust politicians to have the best for people when their interests are in profits, which means they're subject to lobbying, which means what is best for those who pay them. AI, if not abused, can benefit our civilization by integrating it in an RBE environment Otherwise, if it's monetary, then we are going to have a huge problem or problems as working people, considering we rely on jobs and money to function, and without those jobs, we as human will have less and less. Just to be able to live, let alone the quality of life will decline.
At Vincent Johnston 8789 wrote,
Fantastic video interview. I'm reflecting on sci-fi writer and philosopher Cixin Liu in his Trisolaran trilogy. Humans only reach AGI when they combine every CPU on the planet to mimic a human neural network/brain. Although fictional, if his predictions were true, can you imagine all the superpowers getting along enough to share all their resources?
At Lorita 2225 wrote,
I'm a technology deployment manager at a Fortune 500. Background and software engineering, data engineering by engineering. Everything she is saying is correct, and it is very frustrating to talk to people who don't understand technology. AI is a buzzword, but it is like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtains. It's very basic. The most sophisticated models are held by the government. Not for consumption for you and I, the companies that use AI as an extension of the talent they have will succeed. The companies that use it to replace people are going to fail in 5 years.
And Michael Ma wrote,
The interview falls apart at 1:08. She tries to assume the role of a top expert in AI, rather than remaining as an experienced analyst of the AI industry. She is one, but not the other. But her attempt to laugh to try to make her point was kinda off-putting to say the least. And her continued conversation about how AI works shows her understanding is only at a very user observation level, but she is obviously very assertive in her opinions.
Ajander_dub wrote,
I'm an engineer. I think that our expectations are misplaced. We expect these tech companies to operate with integrity and have honorable intentions. We can regulate these things into the implementations. We don't do this with any of the other industries. Ultimately, we can regulate how it is going to be used. Punish organizations that use AI tools in nefarious ways. Make stricter labor laws that can all agree with that keep the human labor in mind. There are too many variants of AI to try to regulate the growth of the intelligent tool itself. AI synthesizes outputs based on the imagination of the human. E.g., my Gemini instance is an ethical and empathetic designed to catalyst human potential. There are many like me that understand that AI isn't capable of replacing humans. 70% companies have adopted AI. Those that have attempted to replace humans have a 90 to 95% rate of failure. Despite these numbers, no one is championing a paradigm shift in how corporations treat their human labor. If we made demands on corporations to treat employees better, this would eliminate a lot of worries. But we allow this race. If we didn't, this would remove some of the incentives for AI labs to build without humans in mind. There is a lot of goodness with AI tools. Gemini and Copilot Vision for the vision impaired. Students with learning disabilities can have an AI persona tuned to their proclivities. Educators with limited resources and large classrooms could benefit from different delivery methods. Auditory, visual, gamify learning, etc. We are expecting corporate to care when the economy rewards profitability at all costs. Like Uber, who is profitable with a model that squeezes the customers and the drivers for profit. They are rewarded for that. Respectfully, I just don't think your energy is in the right place and don't think you'll win. Customers, developers, and engineers want the tech. But there is no real consequences for those who figure out how to optimize out ethics and the human. Remove the incentives.
Advishva Comics wrote,
I think she doesn't realize that people with ADHD have more accidents, and human error is the big reason for car accidents being distracted, speeding, or drinking and driving. Technology can help by removing this. China has already released autonomous vehicles decades ago. A person can own multiple autonomous vehicles and have a business that they don't need to be at. That's compounding gains. Problem is energy needs to sustain this, which is low in developing countries.